In this video, I'm going to be unboxing, setting up, and reviewing this Graco Magnum ProX17 airless paint sprayer. And if you're new to this channel, my name's Josh. This channel is all about building your own house, saving a ton of money. So be sure to subscribe, ring that bell so you get a notification every time I release a new video, and hammer that like button for me. That's all I ask in return for making this video. So I also got the pressure roller kit here, so let's get started. Before I unbox and review this sprayer, I want to give you a little backstory on my experience with airless sprayers. So the house I live in now, I built it about 5 or 6 years ago, and after the drywall was hung, I was overwhelmed by the amount of painting I was going to have to do, so I went out and got me a Graco sprayer that's really similar to this one, except it was the model from 5 years ago. So after I went through and taped up the windows and everything, I got it ready to spray. So I sprayed the whole house with primer. Then after that, I went through and taped up around the ceilings and sprayed the walls and the ceiling separate and all that. So that was my first experience with airless sprayers. So I knew how much time it took to prepare to spray. So the second house that I built that I sold, I went ahead and just rolled it. So after my experience from going from spraying to rolling, I wish there was something in between I could go with that's still fast, yet there's not that much prep work. So I contacted Graco and asked them, hey, how could I do this? So that's when they recommended this pressure roller. So they, out of the kindness of their heart, they sent me this sprayer and this roller to try out for free. All I have to do is make a little video about it on how I really feel about the experience with it. So they did send me this product, so I just wanted to disclose that before you watch this whole video, but I'm going to give you my honest review of the product and this actual pressure roller. So let's get started on unboxing this thing. All right, let's crack this thing open and see what we got. All right, let's see here. We got a congratulations, and the owner manual is in here as well. And we just got a recommendation for a pressure roller kit. Pretty cool, which I already got that obviously. And this is just kind of some quick startup guide, it looks like. So setting up, starting up, so that's going to be handy here in just a bit. And if we open up the top of this cardboard, we got the sprayer down here with a piece of plastic over the head of it, and it looks like the rest needs pulled out of the box. So after looking at this closer, this is actually a coupon to get a free roller cover for the pressure roller. So hold on to that because you may want it later. All right, let's pull this thing out of here. Okay, not too bad to lift by yourself at all. And there is the hose and the spray nozzle here. So obviously we're going to need this. And let's see what else is in here. Looks like they sent a little bottle of pump armor to protect the pump when you go to store it. It also has this little piece that hooks to the water hose so you can clean it quickly. It appears for shipping purposes the handle is folded down, so what I'm going to have to do is take off the handle, so it's just these little knobs on the side that turn off real easy, and then you just take the bolts out of it, and then the handle should come right off, and then we'll install it upright after that. In order to install this back onto the frame in the right position, we just slide it down onto the frame until the holes line up with each other. And then we take the bolt it came with, go through the back side here and fish it through the hole that's on the handle. And then make sure that your bolt lines up with the square hole that's on the inside of the frame. And then just take the little wing nut knob and tighten it back down. Again, on this side, there's a square cutout here for this bolt to fit into. So fish it in and then get it through the handle and then make sure it slides into that little cutout for the square and then tighten it down. For this setup, I'm going to be using this quick guide that it came with, but just like it says down here in the bottom, be sure to read the owner's manual first, so that way you totally understand the sprayer before you use it. Now it's time to hook this hose to this sprayer. So in order to do so, we gotta remove this red cap. It should be able to be taken off by hand pretty easy, and it is. So this is where we're gonna connect the sprayer hose to, and it looks like we're good. And now there's gonna be a little bit of shipping fluid or storage fluid inside there that you're gonna see dripping out. So I'll go ahead quickly, put this onto that hole that's threaded. And to tighten it up, I'm just going to use a crescent wrench and just adjust it to the right side and tighten it down. And you don't want to tighten it to where it's going to break, but you want to make sure it's really snug. It should be good. And you can always tighten that up later if it is leaky. The next step is to turn this pressure knob all the way down to the lowest setting. The next step is to make sure we are in the off position on the pump, and then go ahead and plug it into a grounded outlet of some kind. And we got an orange indicator light that we are plugged in and have power. For this next step, you're going to need a clean bucket of water, and then you're going to need a bucket to put the waste material in. So what I gotta do now is separate the drain hose from the suction hose. And I'm going to go ahead and place this suction hose into this clean bucket of water. So I'm going to slide it right under the pump. Now I'm going to take the drain hose and place it into this bucket to put the waste in. Next step is to turn the valve into the prime position, then press the push to prime button twice, and then turn the pressure up to start, and then turn the pump on. I let that run for about 60 seconds. That cleared out all the fluid that was in the pump. All right, so now that we cleared the fluid out of the pump, we're going to take this fresh bucket of primer, because I'm going to be priming today, and put it in place of the water. So let's get the water bucket out of the way here. And then we're going to keep our drain tube in the waste bucket for now and get this water bucket out of the way. So now, instead of water coming through, it's going to be paint this time. So I'm going to kick the pump back on. All right, now as you can see, there's primer coming out of the end now, so we got it primed. Now what I'm going to do is take this tip out and make sure it's in the unclogged position. This is a reversible spray tip. So the arrow is pointing in which direction for the sprayer, and then to unclog, you want the arrow pointing back towards the gun. So this is the unclogged position, and now I'm just going to tighten this up by hand and secure it. So now I'm going to take the gun and point it into the bucket and pull the trigger, and then I'm going to turn the valve from prime to spray, and then turn it on until primer comes out. Now what I'm going to do is take the drain tube and place it into the pail of primer with the suction tube. So now what I'm going to do is loosen up the end of the gun here and take the spray tip and turn it to the spray position from the unclogged position. And now we should be ready to spray. I'm in the corner of my kitchen, so there's going to be kitchen cabinets here on this wall, so it's a great place to practice spraying. But as you can see, the outlets are not covered up with baggies or any kind of tape. That's because I'm just going to be practicing on this low spot before I hook the roller up. But I wanted to show you how it sprays, because I know a lot of you guys were wondering that. At any point in this video you want to purchase this Graco sprayer, there's a link to it in the description below. If you do purchase it, I get a small commission, but it's at no extra cost to you, and I appreciate it and it supports the channel. So I'm going to go ahead and put some spray on this wall, but first be sure to always wear a respirator when you're spraying. You don't want to inhale that fine latex. So I won't be able to talk while I'm spraying, so let's go ahead and get started. So right off the bat, I can tell the edges are pretty feathered looking, so I need to increase the pressure. Let me do that real quick. This is the knob to increase the pressure. So all you gotta do, just like it says, turn it clockwise to increase the pressure of the pump. What I did here is I bought a 40-inch extension and hooked it to the 20-inch extension that came with the power roller, and then I hooked it to a 30-inch spray tip. So it gave me a total of 90 inches to be able to spray this cathedral ceiling very easily. So I actually made the decision to go ahead and mask off the whole house and spray it, so stay tuned for those videos. As you just seen, that sprayer works awesome. And I know from experience from my last Graco sprayer, I sprayed multiple coats of paint and I never once had a pump issue or anything like that. The only thing I had to do was turn the tip around a few times to unclog any chunks of paint that came through the sprayer. But honestly, that didn't even happen that much. I think maybe 5 to 10 times, if that, throughout the whole house spraying process. So that's just something to keep in mind. I'm going to go ahead and switch to that power roller or the pressure roller, and we're going to see how well it works. So let's get started on that. The pressure roller adapts to the gun here, so I need to take this end off. So to do so, I'm going to put the gun on safe, so now we can't engage or disengage the trigger. It's locked there. So in order to take this off, all we got to do is turn it and unloosen it until it comes all the way off. And then what I'm going to do is take this end and I'm going to take the spray nozzle out and place it in a bucket of water along with this until I clean it later. So here's this pressure roller kit. It comes with an extension already built onto it, and there's this little 45-degree adapter that's going to go onto the gun. So it's going to give us more of a natural arc when we're running the roller. So I'm going to go ahead and unpackage this and hook it to the gun. First thing I'm going to do is take this 45 adapter and thread it onto the gun, just as if you're putting a nut and bolt together. So right like that. And now what I'm going to do is just take this adjustable wrench just to give it a little extra security and snug it down a little bit more. And now we're going to thread the pressure roller onto this 45 piece. So now I'm just going to take the pressure roller and thread it onto that 45 adapter and snug it down really tight. And that is all there is to it. One thing I noticed right off the bat, ergonomically, this roller is turned the wrong way. So in order to adjust it, I'm going to have to unlock this nut here and then rotate the roller where I need it and then lock it back into place. So all I got to do is take a pair of vice grips, grab the bottom here, then unloosen this nut, turn it in the right direction, which right there looks good, and then re-tighten it down into place. And that is how you adjust the roller. Before I get this saturated with paint, I wanted to show you how to remove the roller. So all you gotta do is slide this little plastic piece down and it slides right off. And then once you need to install a new one, you just slide it right back on. Easy peasy, really nothing to that piece. All right, enough with all the talking, let's get to rolling. Now that I have the roller attached, I'm going to turn the pressure down. And as you can see, this is the roll range. So I'm going to go ahead and start just a little bit below the max roll range there. So I'm going to try that out and see how it goes. So you can see what I'm doing better. I'm going to start this room on the walls instead of starting on the ceilings like I usually do. But I just want to let you know, this is the very first time I've used this roller. So I'm curious to see what it does. So what I'm going to do now is take the trigger off safe, put it on the wall and pull the trigger. All right. As I can see, there is paint trying to push through the roller. So I'm going to give this a minute here until the paint pushes all the way through. And just so you know, this is a 1/2-inch nap that it comes with. All right, I just turned the pressure up on this thing. Let's see if it helped it. All right, now it's pushing it out almost too much at a time, but I'd rather have it doing that. Yeah, so now when I pull the trigger, it's coming out more spotty. So that's actually working better. So what I notice, it comes out a little on the spotty side, but then I can just feather it right out with no problem. I actually like that better. So in this case, it's at the max roll pressure and kind of like right in that range between the low pressure for the spray and the roll pressure high. So I'm going to go ahead and do a little time lapse of me painting this wall with the pressure roller. If you noticed earlier, I had that 40-inch extension hooked to the 20-inch extension that came with this pressure roller, and then I had the 30-inch spray tip. Well, I wish I would have took that 40-inch extension and hooked it to this pressure roller so I could see how well it would have worked with that extension hooked up. But I made this video before I got that in the mail, but I just wanted to let you know that. After using this sprayer and this roller all day, I'm going to go over the pros and cons of the sprayer, and then I'm going to go over the pros and cons of the actual pressure roller, because they're two different aspects if you ask me. So first I'm going to go over this pump. So this Magnum ProX17 worked all day long flawlessly. It didn't act up once. I didn't have any fluctuations in pressure. There was zero problems with this pump. And it didn't have any kind of delay. When I pulled the trigger, it had pressure right there immediately ready to go. So there is no problem with this pump. So if you're looking for a airless sprayer, I would highly recommend this airless sprayer. No issues. And again, I owned the one that was the 5-year older model than this one, and it worked great. I did the whole house over several days, went through several gallons of paint and did not have one issue. So again, just like today, had zero issues with the pump. Highly recommend it. So let's go over the cons. Oh, and also the pros to using a sprayer in general is just how fast you can spray after you have the whole house taped and masked. It's definitely a fast way of doing it if you're willing to take the time to put in the masking and the paper where it's needed and all that. So by the time you mask it and spray it, it's still, I would say, quicker to use a sprayer and spray it. But I just do not like the mask. It's just a pain in the butt to me. All right, so yes, that's the pros. And the cons, I'm going to say, if you're looking to buy this sprayer, one is the cost. This sprayer is going to run you around $500. So with that being said, you know, if you have a small room to do, it's not worth really going out and getting a whole sprayer. So I wouldn't recommend that. So that's the biggest thing. And the cleanup, that's another thing. With any sprayer, I don't care if it's Graco or Titan or any of those, they're all going to be hard to clean compared to just taking a roller and cleaning up a roller and paintbrush. So that's just a general rule of thumb with airless sprayers. They're all kind of a pain to clean. So that's just something to keep in mind. But as far as this actual sprayer, I highly recommend it. No issues. I love it. All right, so the next thing, let's go over the pressure roller. So I have some good and bad news about this pressure roller. So the pros, let's go over the pros first. For doing walls, this pressure roller was phenomenal. I didn't have to dip it into a paint tray once. It didn't have any issues as far as feeding paint. It fed paint. It never did stop feeding paint. It never clogged up or anything. Like I said, and I used it all day long. It worked very, very well. No issues there. So if you're looking to do walls and walls only, this thing is the way to go. So I highly recommend it for that. So the cons. So there's a couple issues I ran into. The biggest one being the ceilings. That was such a pain to try to roll ceilings with this pressure roller. It was so hard to reach up to the ceiling and try to roll it. And I know they make an extension for this, but my fear is if I take the money and buy it, it's still going to be too heavy and I'm going to be running into the same problems that I had when I was trying to use this without the extension. It's just the weight of it and how you got to hold it, and meaning the handle's clear down here. And if there's an extension on it, like I said, it might exacerbate the problem. So I don't know if it's worth getting that or not and trying it. So that's the biggest problem. And another problem I ran into is closets. When I was in the closet trying to roll it, this thing's almost too long to get into a tight closet. And then in order to shorten it down to use it as if I was going to use my other roller that I typically would use, my 18-inch Purdy roller, I would just take it and roll it. But with this one, you'd have to remove this whole extension in order to get into every bit of the closet. So that to me is a big con too. So I would highly recommend the pressure roller if you're going to be doing a bunch of walls. But if you have a bunch of ceilings and walls to do, I would try to avoid it. I would just go ahead and use your regular 18-inch roller or use our 12-inch roller. I would not use the pressure roller or spray it. So you could also use your pump and spray it on too. So that's my opinion. So if you don't have to worry about ceilings. Say you're doing your house that you've been living in and you don't want to paint the ceilings, you just got to paint the walls, this would definitely be the way to go. I would highly recommend it for that. It's fast, it's clean. I didn't have much dripping to worry about. At first when I was adjusting the pressure and trying to fine tune it, I had a little bit of problems with dripping. But other than that, yeah, so it worked out pretty good. And I noticed it gets my hands kind of dirty, like a blackish color. I don't know if it's from this material or what, but it seemed like the more I used it, the blacker my hands would get. I had rubber gloves on earlier and those turned really black. So just keep that in mind. But all in all, I would recommend it for somebody that needs to paint walls only. All right. All right, guys, well, that's the end of this video. I hope you found this video helpful if you're looking to purchase this Graco Magnum ProX17. And again, there's a link in the description below for the pressure roller and the pump. And leave a comment below to let me know if you have any other questions that I did not address in this video. And I got a lot more painting I got to get done, so I got to get off here. So I will see you in the next video. Have a good one.